Hi, I'm Charles Bland. I'm coming to you from Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. So I apologize for my wardrobe, but this is going to be a discussion over Chapter 3, discussing the foundations of individual behavior. Uh, went ahead and chose Chapter 3 because I think that as we're looking from a communications perspective that it's important to understand individual behavior. Your first slide there you'll see is just a quick overview of organizational behavior and understanding that the study of organizational behavior is the study of human behavior within an organizational setting, recognizing that people are the key factor in all organizations, and understanding that organizational behavior is important to us as managers and communicators because it offers specific perspectives on the human side of management and also helps management to understand why it is people do the things that they do, which is essentially all about individual behavior. Next slide. Now, people within organizations are there because of the personal choice, but that personal choice is coupled with what is called the psychological contract, which essentially is a person's expectations in regards to what they will give the organization and what the organization will give them back in return. So I take a position within said organization because I have a certain skill set or something to offer to it, but I do so with the expectation that the organization will give me something back in return. All right. The next category that we want to look at is a person job fit. Now this is in regards to a person taking up a career status or working within an organization for compensation. Person job fit should be known that it's seldom achieved in that a employee's contribution equally matches the organizational inducements that are provided. So whatever it is about the organization that induces that person to step into that position, it matches the skill set and or contribution that the person is going to make, and that's person job fit. Individual differences. It's important for us as managers or future managers, and especially as communicators who are trying to teach management how to better communicate with their people, to understand individual differences, which is merely saying that there is no one single person who is absolutely 100% like any other person within the organization. And these differences range from personality to attitudes to the overall perceptions that people have. So by understanding that, we can better work within our organization as managers to meet the needs of the persons there and to move them forward in a progressive and positive manner. Next slide. Personality. Now, essentially the psychological attributes of the person that distinguishes person A from person B, just like we were talking about. Each person is an individual. As managers, we should strive to understand personality attributes. One of the best ways that we can do that by understanding personality attributes is to look at the big five personality traits. By looking at those different personality traits, you can go into those separately on your own, but by digging into those, you see the different traits that make people individuals, but also understand how to tailor your management style and your leadership to that person's personality to communicate with them in a more effective manner. Next slide. Within the personality perspective, we also need to, as managers, have a strong understanding of emotional intelligence. And to me, this is some of the most important part of the entire chapter, is the emotional intelligence. And that's essentially a person's ability to be self-aware of themselves, their ability to maintain emotional composure, to remain self-motivated within themselves, to be empathetic and caring of others, and to also have an implementation or a mastery of the overall social skills. The emotional intelligence is what allows us as individuals to relate one-on-one with each other, whether that's in a manager to followers perspective, or whether it's us as followers relating to management. Either way. And some other personality traits that are also equally important to point out and also are important to managers to recognize is the locus of control, self-efficiency, and self-esteem. Locus of control is essentially how a person views the circumstance that they are in. Either it's a personal choice and they put themselves within that circumstance, and or they view it as the circumstances they are in as a result of the organization on them. Self-efficiency is a person's overall personal capabilities. Self-esteem is that the worth that that person gives themselves, how they view themselves. Next slide. Attitude is everything. We recognize this, we see it in everywhere, and it certainly makes a difference in our lives as well as within organizations. Attitudes are formed by our personalities, our personal experiences, our values, and our overall personalities. Now, can attitude be changed? Absolutely. But important for us to understand as managers and as communicators, that attitude is changed not by us forcing that change on the person, but by the individual person making a personal choice within themselves for their attitude to change. Now, again, this is often affected by the person's personality and then by the person's perception. If they view an experience as being negative, and they view it as being induced by the organization, then they'll probably have a negative attitude towards the organization. If the organization can step in and make that better for that person, then that will change their overall attitude, and it will then again become a positive attitude versus a negative attitude. Job satisfaction, overall extent to which a person is gratified or fulfilled by the work that they are doing. Important for us as managers to try to make the job as satisfying as possible for our people. That's a form of motivation that we can offer them. It's a form of reward, and it also guarantees the overall commitment, which is organizational commitment, which is how that person is able to identify within the organization and the degree of attachment that they have to the organization. Next slide. Perception. Perception. How we perceive things is a reality in our own minds. It's a process by which a person interprets information within their specific environment. All right. Now, the three types of perceptions that I went ahead and outlined for you are selective perception, stereotyping, and attribution. Selective perception is the process by which we interpret information and we go ahead and we just kind of push aside or we delete out of that interpretation any part of the information that we've taken in that makes us personally uncomfortable and or is contrary to our values or our belief system. Stereotyping is making a personal judgment based upon a single attribute of an individual, whether that be their race, their social status, their religion, etc. Alright, and then attribution is we are attributing a catalyst to a behavior, a characteristic that we view of a person through our observation is due to what? If somebody is rowdy, then we try to determine what it is that causes them to be rowdy at the end of the day. Next slide. Workplace behavior is overall the member's pattern of action within the organization that contributes to organizational effectiveness. Now, the total sets of behaviors are what we as the organization expect to see displayed by our membership or by the organizational members. Dysfunctional behavior is just like that. It's something that detracts from the organization's performance, whereas organizational citizenship is a person within the organization or a person who buys into the organization, and therefore their behavior makes a positive impact or contribution to the organization. Next slide. For this overall discussion, I think that we've looked at the importance of personalities within the organization, the individual personality within the organization. For me, that's very, very important because I think that when we look at organizational behavior, the foundation upon which the study of organizational behavior is built is on people. We as communicators, and this being a communication class, it's important for us to understand that, to recognize how it is that we go about as managers making a difference in those that we're affecting and influence on a day-to-day basis, whether that's through communication and through our own personal actions. For the discussion this week, what I would like us to do as a class is to focus not only just on the information, which we went over very, very quickly, and I understand that. What we want us to do is to understand that we were all created in the image of God, as illustrated in Genesis 1:27. And so looking at that and trying to put a Christian worldview and perspective onto what we're studying here, I would like us to look at understanding the importance of, again, emotional intelligence and what emotional intelligence means to the Christian manager and what biblical support can be found to support implementing programs within our organizations that encourage emotional intelligence and as a means of dealing with a diverse workforce and a diverse personality set. So I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say, continuing on as we move throughout the weeks of the course, and hearing everybody's perspectives on this week's chapters and study, as well as understanding how we can implement organizational behavior with a Christian worldview and through that aspect. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and God bless.